I'm Sith King.
And I'm Sonic Sons.
We're the Rambling Reviewers.
And today we're looking at RWBY, the amazingly popular 3D animated fight,
cel-shaded online
majig.
It's an online CGI but cel-shaded show by Rooster Teeth, aka the same guys who made Red vs. Blue.
And more particularly by Monty Oum, aka the guy who made Haloid.
Oh, Haloid and Dead Fantasy.
I saw part of Dead Fantasy, I think. I didn't see all of it.
Well, yeah, I don't think I've seen all of it either, but that's just because, I knew that if I watched it anymore, my brain would explode.
So,
okay,
we might as well...
First things first.
Yeah.
Monty Oum died earlier this year, 2015.
Why does everyone have to keep dying?
Well, this one was an accident. He went in for a routine medical checkup.
Well, as opposed to all those other people who got murdered, but anyway.
Well, he had a bad reaction to to painkillers or medicine or something, and went to a coma, passed away a week later.
What the frick?
I know.
We gotta get working on this death thing, people. Why aren't we immortal yet? Science, start working.
But then you'd never get rid of all the assholes in the world.
So I'll ship them off to Pluto or something.
I'll take some of the good people dying as long as we can get rid of the douchebags.
Oh no, it's whatever. We will investigate the philosophical conundrums of death later. The point is, we don't know. I mean, season 3 is going to happen eventually.
And they have said that they have the next 5 seasons or so plotted out.
Which is a lot. I hope...
No, you don't say.
It is a lot, but I'm just saying...
It's all of Babylon 5 is 5 seasons. Except for Crusade, which I just bought.
It's probably longer in minute per season.
I'm thinking of Babylon 5 now. I'm in my happy place. And Monty Oum's still dead.
Yeah, so anyway, the point is, if you're watching this, or listening to this rather, and Season 3 has come out, and it feels different, we haven't seen Season 3. We're just looking at Seasons 1 and 2, the Monty Oum seasons.
Yes. Both of them are available for streaming on Netflix, so, you have no excuse not to watch them. We do have to warn you, though, that there is some stuff that is not included on Netflix. Namely, that apparently there's some specials that are available on the Rooster Teeth website, or probably YouTube, because... Let's face it, people have pirated it.
Do you remember when Red vs. Blue first came out and YouTube hadn't been invented yet, and they had you just downloading WMVs from their site?
No, because...
Old school Red vs. Blue, man. I was there at the beginning.
Yes, you're wearing your hipster hat.
Yep, good old hipster hat.
No, literally, he's wearing a hipster hat.
It's a fedora, I don't know. Some people would call it hipster. It predates the hipsters, I'm telling you, but anyway.
So, you were hipster before it was cool?
Oh, yeah!
Okay. But anyways, Monty Oum is well known in the internet, well, in certain communities on the internet, for doing absolutely amazing fight scenes. The first thing that I'm aware of that he did is something called Haloid, which is where a Spartan from Halo fights Samus from Metroid.
Yep.
And a huge horde of Covenant. And it is amazingly kick-ass.
It's all, like, orchestrated to a song from The Matrix, with, like, every beat of the action actually fitting the tone of the song at that moment. Then they flip a car over and jump behind it to shoot the people with ice, and then
they escape with the jetpack, and nuclear explosions are going off. And you think I'm making up shit when I say that, but no, I am not. There is a nuclear explosion in jetpacks.
I mean, it's basically,
kids
playing pretend, but you can see it. It's the visualization of all that awesome stuff bouncing around.
That fanfic that you wanted to write where Master Chief and Samus wanted to fight, and you had this awesome fight scene? This is that fight scene.
This is the guy actually makes these things happen, which makes me feel bad by comparison. I just have ideas in my head.
Monty makes everyone feel bad by comparison.
It's true. I guess it's okay then.
The next thing that I'm aware of that he did was a series called Dead Fantasy, where characters from, I think, Dead Rising, or
I don't know. I forget who was in it. I just remember it being awesome. It's been a long time.
Dead Rising and characters from Final Fantasy, and later Kingdom Hearts, because Kairi or Kari or whatever her name is, because I've never played the games and I've only read the manga, showed up, and they fight each other. And it is every bit as amazing and epically awesome as you can imagine. Imagine Final Fantasy VII Advent Children. Now imagine if the final fight between Cloud and Sephiroth was...
just the whole show.
Better. And with more people in it.
More people, and just kept on going. And here's what's
And it goes on for 6 parts.
So he makes this show called RWBY.
No, we're not done yet.
Oh,
then he gets hired by Rooster Teeth.
Oh, okay.
This is before he even did RWBY. And he actually does what is widely considered one of the best fight scenes in Red vs. Blue.
Oh, I've not seen this.
Yeah, season 8. Well, I'll show it to you later.
I've only made it up to like season 7, people. Sorry.
Where Tex comes back from the dead.
Interesting.
And kicks all of the ass. Kicks Red Team's ass. And Tucker, because Tucker's also there.
Okay.
Because shut up. Of course Tucker's there.
Of course he's there.
Fuck you. He also has done other stuff, which I don't know of. But then he started working on RWBY. So this guy who makes the most epic kick-ass fight scenes imaginable is now doing a show starring magical girls. This is good.
And they're epic. I mean, look, just why don't you name Sun Wukong's weapon for the audience, just to give them a preview of what we're looking at here. He shows up in season 2.
First off, let me just preface it by saying that all the weapons in this show are amazing and stupidly cool. Yeah. Just as a basis.
Yeah.
The main character, Ruby Rose, her weapon is a sniper rifle that turns into a scythe, but can also be fired as a hip-mounted cannon.
Yeah.
Hers is one of the least bizarre weapons that you will see in this show. Sun Wukong, monkey dude, and yes, he is named after the character from Journey to the West.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or possibly to Dragon Ball, but Dragon Ball was based on Journey to the West.
Either way.
He has what I call the snow flame of weapons. That is a weapon that is so stupidly idiotic that it becomes awesome.
For those of you who don't know Snowflame, look up Linkara Snowflame and just watch that episode.
Yeah, that's just...
It's silly.
Yeah. So his weapon is a bow staff, basically a really long pole, that splits in half into nunchucks made out of semi-automatic...
flintlock pistols.
I can't even describe the amount of skill needed to use this thing without blowing your own dick off.
And that's what's so cool, though, is he takes these ridiculous ideas and makes them look like really effective. Like the choreography of the thing is actually thought out. The guy has his own martial arts style and stuff as he's shooting people with his nunchuck semi-automatic flintlock pistols.
That also turned into a bow staff.
That also turned into a bow staff.
Because shut up, of course he can do that.
Of course he can do that.
You know, this series runs entirely on rule of cool.
But here's the thing, though, is that in previous Monty Oum works that I've seen anyway, like Haloid, it's just a fight scene. And it was cool. And somehow, though, they've crafted a plot into this that not only just exists and they have a plot, but they avoid the easy trap of, because everyone's so badass in combat, they have to have the same personality. You know, in so many shows, it's like, I am the badass. I talk like this all the time and show everyone how badass I am. You know what I mean? And in this one, Ruby Rose is all like...
The people of the world need to see that they are good at heart. They're better than you think they are, Heath Ledger Joker. Oh, and Heath Ledger's dead, too.
I mean, Dark Knight was awesome.
Hey, look at the bright side. Hitler's dead.
Okay, that is one upside to death, I suppose.
Yeah, see?
As we continue our philosophical discussion.
Yeah, on the downside, all the people we like. On the upside, Hitler's dead.
But if you got rid of death, Hitler wouldn't have been able to do all that much in the first place. He would have been not so effective as a villain.
To RWBY!
Back to RWBY.
Okay, so what were we talking about before we got into Hitler?
So Ruby Rose, the main character, for instance, doesn't walk around with a scowl. She walks around with this fangirl expression like, oh my gosh, are we going to get to kill monsters? That's so cool. No, can I have your autograph? Are you a huntress? Oh my gosh. And it doesn't come off as annoying either. Her
voice is a little annoying. But
I was always okay with her voice. But
it's like just a very small amount annoying. But you know, you can overcome it because the rest of her is likable. Yeah. See, that's the thing about annoying or irritating features about characters. If you surround it with enough good stuff, we can overlook that.
Yeah.
Generally.
And personally, I never got annoyed with the voice. But we have different standards. That's fine.
Oh, also, speaking of Sun Wukong and RWBY.
Yeah.
Let me see. Yeah. The voice actors of RWBY and the voice actor of Sun Wukong, they're married.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you,
Michael Jones and Lindsay.
Did you also know that the 3 main Eva pilots each married one of the 3 bridge crew? It's true. In Evangelion.
Yeah, of course. I was like, oh god, Shinji's in RWBY? No!
Oh my gosh.
We're gonna have a whiny emo!
No.
Kill the emo!
If he was... Alright, first off, don't kill the emos. But secondly, if he was in RWBY, you would just... his Ava would transform into like
his Ava would be power
another scythe or something.
His Ava would be power armor that turns into a motorcycle that turns into like an mobile artillery piece.
Oh my gosh! Someone do some.
I
fan
want
art.
that now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's
okay. So Ruby starts off. The basic plot is that Ruby Rose is 15 years old, because of course she is.
Because of course she is. Yeah.
One thing I do like about RWBY, among the many things I like about RWBY, is that they try to avoid cliches when possible.
Yeah.
It isn't like the obvious anime stereotypes, even though it is anime style. But moving on, RWBY is 15 and she displays awesome kick-ass combat skills against a robber named Torchwick, who was actually only supposed to be in that one episode, but he was so popular that they brought him back.
Ah, that's interesting.
She's accepted early to a school called Beacon Academy for fighting.
Yeah.
See, they live in this world called Remnant, and I would love to know the history behind this place because the moon is broken.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah, but okay, it really starts out with the prologue, which is voiced by Jen Taylor, aka Cortana.
Yay!
You gotta admire how far Rooster Teeth has come.
Oh my gosh, seriously.
I mean, season 10 had the AI Sigma show up, and he was voiced by who's the guy who was Frodo?
Oh my gosh, Elijah Wood was in.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Elijah Wood was an AI in season 10 of Red vs. Blue.
We've
but
gotta
this
up
company,
our game over here. All right.
this company started off with just a bunch of guys fucking around with the Halo game engine when they noticed that you could lower the pistol and then you could simulate people talking to one another. A bunch of guys stuck in a box cannon in the middle of nowhere. And now they started off with Halo. Halo 4 had them actually making cameos in character in the game if you did certain things.
Well, I didn't know that.
Well, you shoot these radios and then they appear on the you hear their voices on the radio. And now they have Cortana doing intros to a non-Halo series for them.
So basically, if you're not a fan of video games, you're super confused right now, but they have a cool pedigree, let's say that. Also, how are you listening to us? I imagine most of our fans know something about Halo, but maybe, actually, no, not everyone's into shooters. That's
the Amish cow radio.
The Amish cow radio. No, I'm just kidding. I never even played Halo 4. That's how behind I am. So
yeah, it's okay. But anyways, okay, so the world, apparently humans were doing awesome and stuff. Then something bad happened and nature decided, fuck the humans, because that's what nature likes to do in shows.
Well, not all of nature, but like monsters showed up called the Grimm. And
Yeah.
they're all like animal themed, kind of, but they're also like obviously evil because they've got this certain art style about them.
Yeah. Interestingly, a lot of this show is based around like old folklore and mythology.
Oh, okay.
Well, in terms of naming and stuff, like, we meet the first two professors of this Beacon Academy, Professor Goodwitch, Glinda Goodwitch, and Professor Ozpin, the headmaster. Wizard of Oz reference right there.
Yep.
Glinda the Good Witch and Professor Oz.
Don't
blah,
look
blah, blah.
behind the curtain. No, kidding.
Yeah, no. One of the other teachers is Professor Bartholomew Ooblik, who's voiced by Caboose.
Which is the name of a character, by the way, not an actual caboose.
Look, it's
We got
crazy.
a train car to voice this character. It's hard to understand.
Tweet. I don't even know what sounds a train makes. Oh God, I
I don't know.
But anyway, so
Somewhere out there, there's a train.
so yeah,
fan.
Bartholomew Ooblik. Anyone who's ever read Bartholomew Cubbins and the Ooblik, well, there you go.
It's a Dr. Seuss story.
Yeah,
Or
not
Seuss,
Doctor.
to be precise.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So RWBY gets accepted to this academy where she's now attending with her sister and a whole bunch of other kids. Mm-hmm. Where they're being taught to
They're being taught to fund evil. Fundraiser events.
Fight Grimm and use their combat skills effectively. The story mostly focuses around two teams. Team Ruby and Team Juniper.
They're named after their initials, by the way, which is why the show is spelled RWBY. The main people are called Ruby, Weiss, Blake, and Yang. Yang being Ruby's sister. Mm-hmm. So the team name is Ruby, and also a character name is Ruby, which is a little confusing, but oh well.
Yeah. Ruby's team leader. Weiss is heiress to the... Well, apparently they have this magic stuff. It's not really magic because it's, like, different...
A different type of magic? What do you mean?
It's apparently not magic.
What's it called?
dust.
Oh, well, yeah. It's like physical mana, basically.
Yes, pretty much.
Yeah.
Weiss is the heir to the Schnee Dust Company, and she has... Her weapon is a fencing sword with what appears to be a revolver with different types of dust that she can channel into it, so she can have elemental effects to it.
And she can also, like, create symbols appear on things, and that creates
does stuff. You have to watch the show to really get it.
I know.
It's hard to describe.
Because half of it, like, you didn't even know she could do that, and you're like, oh, suddenly that move from the end, or not the end, but that one epic fight in season 1 with the crow thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so...
choreography.
And, like, apparently if you're a hunter, like these people are, you might have something called a semblance, which is sort of like a blood limit from Naruto, which is a special skill that only you have. RWBY has super speed, and Weiss can make those glyph things.
Oh, okay, that's her semblance.
Yeah.
It's basically a way to give people extra powers. I don't know why Blake's semblance didn't show up in the first season, but like, oh, she has one now in the second season. Why not?
She creates a clone that she uses to escape from things.
It looks cooler in real life, but yes.
Yeah, it's
basically new powers because we felt like it.
Blake is also what's known as a faunus, which is basically a human with animal bits put on them, and it's a running plot throughout the whole series.
Right. It's like a separate species of animal people.
Yeah.
You know? I presume that all the faunus are like one species. I don't know. Maybe they're the same. There's like a subspecies. It's like humans and mutants from X-Men almost.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of getting.
Instead of having a power, you just have rabbit ears or something. That's what it is.
Enhanced hearing, that could be good.
I guess that's cool. Yeah. In the meantime, everybody hates you. Well, some people hate you. You know,
a bunch of people like there's discrimination for some reason. We'll get back to that in a bit. But Blake is a cat faunus, and she hides her cat ears underneath her bow.
Which they eventually figure out, obviously.
Yeah.
She does like tuna a lot.
That was actually ad-libbed by the actress.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that was great.
Cool.
And last is Yang, whose semblance is if she gets beat up a lot, she gets super strong.
So she's a Lucario. Look at all the references we're making.
Yeah, that's actually probably wasn't intentional, but yeah.
Yep.
And her weapon is a set of gauntlets that are also shotguns. So she punches things and shoots them at the same time. Because fuck you, that's why.
Yeah. And I again, this is hard to get across unless you see it, but it's not just that someone came up with the idea of shotgun things and whatever. It's that it's choreographed so cool as to be... It's strategic, right? It becomes artful in its strategy. You're like, whoa, look at all these interesting ideas of characters making use of the powers, not just like, oh, they have a power and we'll talk about it for 20 minutes like DBZ style or something.
Yeah, or Naruto. It's... So like you'll see RWBY like using her super speed, but then you also see her to get from a running start. She uses the blast from her sniper rifle to accelerate up faster.
Yeah. It's all these weird physics ideas almost, even though technically physics are being violated all the time. But it has that verisimilitude, you know, which makes it all so much more interesting than if you just sort of blew everybody up with another key attack.
Yeah. The other team is Juniper. They kind of share co-star status with Team RWBY.
I call them the B team, really.
They're the B team, but you know
they're not the title team.
They're still interesting.
They're still interesting. Yeah, of course they are.
Interesting fact: I have heard via word of God.
By which we mean word of creator. For those of you who've never visited TV tropes in your life,
which you're lucky, you've managed to escape.
I love TV tropes.
Oh, I do too. Yeah. But it is a time sink.
It is.
Word of God is that Team Juniper are all historical figures, but like with inverted gender.
Swapped. Yeah.
So Jean Arc
is named after
Joan of Arc.
Yeah.
He's actually a pretty interesting character. They kind of deconstructed. You know how like in a lot of animes you go to this. Where you go to a combat school, you see these like elite soldiers, and then there's always one doofus who never manages to do anything, and there's absolutely no reason why that they should be there. But, you know, for some reason they're there anyway. And then they have that one moment where they're good, and then the rest of the season they suck. So, it's okay that they sucked that one time, even though they're putting the rest of us in horrible jeopardy. I'm sorry, I get angry at some things.
Yes.
John, they actually have a reason why he's a fuck-up. See, he's heir to a very large family. A very heroic family. And his weapon is... Sincerely, it's the most normal weapon in the entire show.
A sword.
I mean, aside from we see some soldiers with guns later, but
it's
a sword and a shield, but the shield collapses.
Oh yeah, he's a
collapses in
shield.
And forms a sheath. He wasn't supposed to go to Beacon. No. He faked his transcripts, so he snuck in that way.
Yeah, which he nearly gets him killed. They throw him into their several times, but in particular They go, okay, we're going to choose your team today, and we're also going to put you in deadly danger. Here's how it works. We launch you through the sky, like, hundreds of yards.
You know what? If you've played Portal, it's an aerial faith plate.
It's an aerial faith plate. We're going to launch you through, and, like, they're launching them one at a time. And John's like, so, do we have parachutes or something? No, you'll define your own landing strategy. And he doesn't know even how to fight, let alone how to deflect momentum from high velocity.
If you're a normal civilian in the RWBY universe, you don't have your aura unlocked. And your aura is kind of like, I don't know, chakra from Naruto.
It's your health bar, really. Honestly, it's a way for everyone to be able to kick the crap out of each other, but we don't need to animate blood.
In addition, it also makes them stronger and capable of doing all this shit.
Yeah.
Do the flippy, cool, awesome moves. He doesn't have his activated, so his best strategy at this moment, as he's being launched through the air, he has no training, he has no aura, no semblance. His best strategy is dying horribly. That is the best option. The worst option would be to get horribly wounded and crippled when he lands and get eaten by a Grimm.
So thankfully someone saves him, in case you're wondering.
He actually learns to stand up to a bully who is going to expose him, Cardin Winchester. Which is another reference,
Team
actually.
Cardinal. Oh, yeah, another reference.
Cardin Winchester is named after the Cardinal of Winchester, the one who burned Joan of Arc alive.
Oh, I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah. His partner is Pyrrha, who's kind of a celebrity when she comes into it. She apparently has...
Not the Cardinal's partner, it's
John's partner. John's partner.
Right, yeah.
Cardinal Winchester isn't really important in the larger
he's just a bully.
He's a bully in one subplot. So, anyways, Pyrrha is this. Apparently, she's been in like tournaments before, and she almost never loses. And she actually has sponsorships, so she's been on cereal boxes. And she kind of gravitates towards John because he's never heard of her. She's afraid that everyone will just flock to her because they want her as her partner, but not because of her, but because of
her fame.
Yeah. He has no idea who she is, which I can totally understand, I mean, I don't...
Not being part of the fandom of fighting, Yeah.
He knows her from cereal boxes. She even goes, you really shouldn't eat that. I mean, it's not that great for you. She actually gets a massive crush and falls in love with John, but he can't see it because he is an idiot.
Yeah, which is a kind of standardish plot. Well, except normally it would be reversed, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Normally it'd be, and he does actually kind of have that with Weiss. The weenie guy likes the popular girl who doesn't like him back. But in the meantime, other popular girl likes the weenie guy who doesn't quite understand.
Yes.
So that's another wrinkle.
So John has a thing for Weiss, but she doesn't like him.
She likes Neptune, not the planet, the guy.
Yeah, but we'll get to him later.
Okay.
God.
So many characters.
Okay, so... But Pyrrha has a spear and a shield, except the spear can also turn into, like, a rifle.
Yep. Everything does that.
And she can control magnetism.
I love it when they explain that. They're like,
she has the power
her
of
semblance is polarity. Oh, you control poles. And that was RWBY talking, not Jean. It was like,
No, you idiot, it's magnetism. Yeah. That was Weiss.
Poles.
Weiss is kind of a bitch sometimes, but we love her anyway.
She's
a lovable bitch.
She's the what was it called? Defrosting ice queen on TV tropes.
Yeah.
Like, rather literally in this case. Yeah.
But so, anyways, she likes John and she starts training him so that he doesn't suck ass at everything.
Pyrrha does that, not Weiss.
Pyrrha, damn it!
All these pronouns.
Then we get to Ren, who is supposedly a gender-inverted version of Mulan. I don't see it personally. Maybe they're talking about like a historical Mulan and not the Disney Mulan, but I don't know enough to really say. His weapon is apparently like a set of knives that are also submachine guns, thus making it like the second most normal weapon in the entire show. I don't know what his semblance is, and I don't frankly care. He's like the only sane man to his partner / childhood friend, Nora Valkyrie, who is a gender-inverted version of Thor.
And who is personality inverted as well, to be honest. It's
if Thor had a baby with Pinkie Pie. That's roughly Nora right there. I'm not even kidding here.
Happy and hyper and all this stuff, yeah.
Well, being equally willing to break people's legs.
Yeah, and again, that gets to my point about not everyone being the generic badass McBadass personality type. So really, almost nobody is like that. Except the bully.
Yeah. So... first time we see Pyrrha, she pulls out a hammer and starts hitting things. I'm like, oh, okay. Then she turns it into a grenade launcher. Then she stands on top of the hammer bit while holding the pole bit like a pogo stick and starts firing the grenade launcher to launch her stuff in the air, giggling insanely the whole time. I love this show so much.
Yeah. And to have the personalities that they do actually fits so well with the silliness of the awesomeness.
Yeah.
It's like the fans, are in a similar mode of like, oh my gosh, that's ridiculous but so cool. And then people themselves are like, this is so cool. We enjoy fighting evil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which sadly brings me to a different point that I am not fond of about the show. For some reason, in this world where there's only 4 kingdoms, the last bastions of both the human and all sophiant life on the planet is trapped in these 4 small kingdoms. The rest of the world is conquered by the Grimm. They, for some reason, think that that's not an interesting plotline and decide to focus a lot more of their time on the White Fang being dicks.
Yeah, the White Fang, by the way, is basically the Brotherhood of Mutants, but Faunus.
Yeah, that's it.
It's the Magneto of the,
Ironically, the girl with Magneto's powers isn't in it.
Isn't in it? No, yeah. So what we need now is a Professor X, come to think of it, huh?
That's Professor Ozpin, pretty much.
Yeah,
although, do you really...
He's not a Faunus, but yeah.
Yeah. Blake actually used to be a member of the White Fang back when they were more peaceful, but now they've engaged in terrorist acts and shit, so she's distanced herself. So she's more of an orthodox White Fang, as opposed to reformed.
So...
The White Fang has, like, evil secret plans, and for it they need tons of dust. For reasons that they've never explained.
I'm not sure the creators themselves know yet, because the first, you said, what's his name, Torchwick, was only going to be in that first episode, and he's stealing dust, and I'm thinking that probably, at the time they just thought, oh, it's a robbery. We just need a robbery so RWBY can fight somebody. And then later they're like, oh, we need to make an epic plotline so this guy can actually be part of something and show up again.
Yeah. Okay, so, yeah. Then we meet Sun, who helps Blake take down the White Fang after she's revealed as being a Faunus. And I'm jumping around a lot here, but this show is just so fast-paced that...
And that's nice. They have no need for filler when they do every episode of their own schedule and as long as they want it to be.
And the episodes are 5 minutes. You don't really need filler. Maybe like a breather episode every now and then,
Well, and honestly, I watch them on Netflix as seasons. You can think of it
which is like a 2-hour movie.
Yeah, it is. It's just like a big movie. Which I didn't realize they were organized that way. I thought I was watching episode 1, and after an hour, you're like, God, their episodes are super long. Because they don't show you, like, the breaks in between.
It's like Red vs. Blue on Netflix, where, instead of, they say episode 1, that's season 1, because, watching a 5-minute episode on Netflix would be kind of weird.
Yeah.
But, that's where we meet Sun and his insanely, stupidly awesome staff of crazy.
Okay, but basically the plot of season 1, though, was we get together, we have, getting to know you moments. Weiss hates RWBY for a while, but eventually they form a friendship. Also, they end up being on the team. Yang is RWBY's sister, and they work well together on teams. And Blake, of course, rounds out the group. And we fight some awesome stuff, the Chrome thing and so forth.
Mm-hmm. The Nevermore.
The Nevermore.
Guess where that comes from?
Nevermore, the Edgar Allan Poe.
Yep. All the Grimm are named after, like, mythological things,
or literary references in this case.
Like, there's Beowulfs, which are like wolves.
Beowulf,
yeah. Well, no, they're like
they're
wolves.
like wolves, but they're named after Beowulf.
Then there's Ursas, which I'm only guessing are named after the constellation Ursa Major.
Yep.
Or because they're giant goddamn bears, and fuck you, bears. Nevermores, which are ravens roughly the size of the space shuttle.
Cool stuff.
And then there's, like, snake things with 2 heads. They're black and white, so I'm guessing that's a yin-yang reference or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Not a Yang reference.
No, just a yin-yang.
Although Yang does make a lot of puns, because apparently she's based loosely on Barbara Dunkelman from Rooster Teeth. I apologize if I got your name wrong, who is fond of making puns.
Oh, see, I don't know the staff members' names at all.
Yeah.
Except Monty Oum.
There's a lot of references to other Rooster Teeth stuff in this, too. Like, for example, when Team RWBY is decorating their room, they put up a poster that's of the Achieve Men. It's of the Achievement Hunters, another division of Rooster Teeth, headed by Jeff Ramsey, the voice of Griff from Red vs. Blue. Plus, the Achievemen was originally what Achievement Hunters was going to be called.
Oh. Well, there you go.
But even better, starting in Season 2, well, you know the shop that those two creepy people go into to rob the guy or beat him up or kill him, or I don't know.
Yeah.
The song that he's singing is the Red vs. Blue theme song. Da 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 da.
Don't think I noticed at the time. Wow.
I didn't either. I had to go back and like, oh my god, he's doing that.
Okay then.
And you see a certain comic book appear throughout the season. One for a pair of superheroes called X-Ray and Vav, which are based on Gavin Free and former member of Rooster Teeth, Ray Navarez Jr., who just recently left as of April 22nd, 2015.
Oh, wow, today.
No, as recently as of the date of this video.
Like his last... you meant like he left just as we were talking.
No,
like,
I mean that's...
Let me check my watch. It has
I had to check the
sensor.
date to see, so that this video doesn't become like extremely dated.
Okay.
But given that we're reviewing an ongoing series, that's probably not going to happen. But anyways, but even better, that's based on an actual anime mini-series that Rooster Teeth made that was purely animated, not CGI, starring X-Ray and Vav.
Okay.
Voiced by the people they're based on. And in that series, there is... Not only are RWBY actresses in there, the one who voices Blake voices Hilda, the one who provides X-Ray and Vav with all their equipment, and she's built a little robot to help her named Orf, who's voiced by RWBY. Even better than that, on the wall of Hilda's lab, you can see some of the RWBYverse weapons. So if this show exists in their universe, and do they notice that these weapons are in the show? Do they notice, hey, this guy sounds exactly like you? So how does this work?
There's basically a whole labyrinth of references here, and apparently untangling them is a whole separate game in itself, even apart from just liking the show for its own merits.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Even better, the bad guy from that was created in a Let's Play for a wrestling show. So does Rooster Teeth exist in this continuity?
Oh my god.
What's going on? My brain is just full of fuck. Then again, in the show, they also have the Autobot Matrix of Leadership up on the wall, so I'm guessing that this doesn't exist anywhere.
Everything is crazy. Right.
So, yeah. I'll just put that as the description of this video. So, yeah. So many things. While they're looking for Blake, because Blake ran off because it was revealed she was a fauna who used to be part of the White Fang, Team RWBY runs into this girl named Penny.
Oh, yeah, Penny. Forgot.
And Penny is just all of the cool. She's like... Imagine if Pinkie Pie had way more self-control, but...
Yeah, she's got that bright attitude, but she's, calm and polite. But kind of weird, because she's secretly a robot.
And by secretly, we mean it's openly revealed by season 2.
Yeah.
But you kind of predicted it when...
You did, particularly, yeah. You're like, she doesn't use contractions, robot. Like, it kind of shows how it's become a bit of a cliche, to be honest. But,
okay,
yeah.
I was going off of data from Next Generation, but
exactly.
I was more thinking of the moment when she stepped forward to fight a bunch of White Fang terrorists, and 10 swords flew out of her back, controlled by wires.
Okay, yeah, but you predicted it before that happened.
Okay, yes, but still, I'm just saying, that was kind of... I'm 98% sure now that she's a robot.
Which is the end of the season, by the way, this final fight against White Fang people trying to steal stuff.
Yeah.
For their mysterious plans.
Which they're, that's kind of bugging me, It's a mysterious plan. We have no idea what it is, and they're just letting it build. I mean...
What could it be? Yeah, it might...
I mean, it's like... It bugs me because it's like an Attack on Titan, where you have this big plot of there are giant monsters outside that want to kill you, but apparently that's not enough of a story for the show, so let's have some political intrigue shit.
Wait, there is a lot of monster killing in Attack on Titan.
Not recently, actually. If you've been reading the...
Oh, so I have not read the manga. But
in the manga, after the attack on Trost, after they take down the female Titan, they've really cut down on the amount of Titans in the show, focusing on how there's this ancient conspiracy that's, perpetuated by the king, and it's bullshit.
See, everybody they need to watch our video on how to fix it, and rewrite everything you just did.
Okay, so, but yeah, it's the same problem with RWBY, which, ironically enough, is kind of similar to Attack on Titan in some ways, you know? It's a bunch of walled cities, trapped and isolated, the last remnants of all self-aware life forms on the planet.
Yeah, but with an entirely different attitude, though, for that premise.
Well, yes, of course. I'm just saying, the setting is similar.
Attitude.
But yeah, so they have this world-ending threat that's just outside the walls. If those walls fall for any reason, we're fucked. We see that at the end of Season 2 when they do manage to pierce through and get into the walls.
Except they're only screwed for like 10 minutes, as it turns out.
Yeah, but, you know, if something had happened to those guys, you know?
Yeah.
And they would...
I mean, I'll get to that when we get to that area of the
And that plan didn't make sense anyways, but yeah, we'll get to that.
That's what I'm going to get to, yeah.
But, yeah, so you have this genocidal threat, extinction-level threat, just outside the walls.
Yes.
And you seem to be more focused on a bunch of dissatisfied terrorists.
Well, to be fair,
and yes, I do get
the
why.
terrorists are inside the walls.
Terrorists are inside the walls, and you can have monsters doing the cool flippy shit and using weapons and doing
and
cool
having personalities.
acrobatics.
Grimm, by definition, do not have. I mean, thus far anyway, they don't talk. They don't have personalities.
Yes.
There was that one reference to the elephants that I really like. We'll get to that in a bit. But so Season 2 starts off, and we have. I'm not sure what the deal is with Penny and being secret or not. This is weird in retrospect.
Yeah, Penny is weird because her special thing is she's the first robot to ever be able to use aura, meaning that we can
she has a soul. Yeah,
we can scientifically prove she has a soul. Why are you keeping this a secret? I would be. If I was to reveal that I created a robot that I can scientifically prove has a soul, every newspaper headline would read it as such. Holy fuck!
Well,
scientist creates soul.
No, you know,
what the shit?
I could understand that the desire to keep her a secret if you've just built the thing and you don't want people, I don't know, copying your work or something. When there are terrorists out there who can make their evil robots, right? Maybe
okay, yeah.
Your lore to your data and so forth. I understand that. What I don't get is this. We meet Penny, and then she's sort of spirited away, which is the title of a movie now, but it's also a verb.
Except with
she's taken away.
Except with less Snowface and
less Snowface. That sounded like Snowface the way you said it. Less Snowface.
Snowflame! Which is a detriment to any movie not having Snowflame in it.
I love
Snowflame and Spirited Away. That would be awesome.
Oh my god, I don't know how to do that in my brain.
What was the name of the bad guy in Spirited Away?
What, Yubaba?
Yubaba. Now I'm here to take your name. Snowflame, dear Snowpain!
I feel like
I do more cocaine, so I will fight you, Yubaba!
I mean, I've never thought of this before, but it's probably harder to cross over Ghibli with anything else in my mind than it is to cross over, like, any other franchise, because Ghibli films are so well crafted in their own element that, like, I can see Batman meeting the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but to see him meeting Chihiro, like, it's a whole different scheme. Anyway.
I never thought about this either. I really want to see Snowflame fight Yubaba. Like, I really want to see this. That would be awesome.
Oh, okay, we need to get it
okay,
animated.
you were saying about Spirited Away.
I was saying about the Penny's taken away, and they're like, okay, Penny, you must, keep yourself secret. And like, oh, okay. But then in Season 2, RWBY bumps into her just walking around, and like, oh, apparently she's allowed to just walk around. And then she pretends she doesn't know RWBY for a little bit. And then says, no, we can't talk here. And then she's sort of running away from a couple of soldiers. And you're like, okay, what is going on here? I guess the soldiers don't want her to be walking around. She's supposed to be back in the warehouse or something. Fine. Except she shows up at the dance later, just standing there in the open with her two soldiers, who are apparently okay with her attending dances, but not with otherwise being public.
Well, to be fair, by that point, her father, the General Ironwood, had shown up and been introduced as a character who was in close contact with the teachers and staff of Beacon Academy.
Specific to Beacon, maybe?
And she had her soldiers with her at the time.
So if she has chaperones and it's at Beacon, maybe it's okay, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like literally one of the safest places you could be.
Yeah. I mean, that's a little weird, because she could have just not run from them. And
maybe after,
hello, soldiers, this is my friend RWBY. She goes to Beacon, too. Like, why am I being secret about it?
Maybe after that, she talked with her father and worked it out, but... Yeah. They're also limited by the time frame of the episodes.
Well, I mean, technically not. They could just change that time frame whenever they felt like it.
Okay, whatever.
Thing about the internet,
Yeah.
But I mean, she's still a cool character.
Yeah, I don't get why. Again, okay, yeah, the robot proved to have a soul. That's pretty fucking big deal. I mean, they had a whole episode about this. They had whole episodes about Data's fighting for his right to be considered a person and not property, and then just Penny shows up and, oh, I have a robot and I have a soul. I don't know. You think Data would be like, I am detecting vast quantities of bullshit in this.
I mean, I don't know.
This is bullshit. See this? They're treating her right. What the fuck is wrong with you, Starfleet officers?
Well, she didn't expect to get treated right. And to be fair, Faunuses aren't treated right either. So if everyone knew she was a robot, then maybe she would be on trial, just like Data was.
Ooh, more Picard.
So eventually, the plot line gets around to we are going out, or the other, what's his Ironside shows up.
Yeah,
and he's brought his own little army because he's the only general or just a general. Because
like there's a vague threat on the horizon or something. This is just getting annoying to me. I mean, Babylon 5, okay, they had a vague threat, but they also backed it up by showing glimpses of what that threat was. Mm-hmm. So they said, like, there are shadows rising, and you're like, oh, whatever. And then the shadows actually show up and start killing people.
Yeah. It was...
So it's like, you know, okay, I get that you're trying to build something up. Mm-hmm. But the key thing about building something up is you need to give us some clues, some reasons for us to keep us interested in the mystery.
Yeah.
Like if you were watching a story about finding the Loch Ness Monster, and you know at the end they find it, but like it's a multi-season thing, if you don't see the Loch Ness Monster for like 4 seasons out of 5...
That's going to get boring.
Yeah, you're just going to go...
hopefully you see other monsters in the meantime. Like, that's a plausible way to go, is sort of one big mystery, but then little mysteries get solved along the way. And you're like, okay, at least the showrunners know what they're doing.
And you get the sense that the story is progressing.
Right.
This, with the White Fang and the army thing, it's just like, yeah, we're going to stop some evil threats, or we're going to be evil threats in the future.
Yeah, so the story progresses along personal lines of characters getting to know each other and having romances or not.
Which I do very much like.
Which is really fun in a fighting show. Yeah, they actually care about their characters.
I like shows that focus a lot on characters. It's good.
Yeah, definitely good. But then, so Ironside shows up, and he's got his army, and he has this ongoing debate with Ozpin, where Ozpin's like, no, we must not use a lot of force, says the guy training everyone that uses awesome levels of force all the time.
Yeah.
And Ironside's like, no, we must be stronger and use more force. And I'm like, against what exactly? You're just sort of hanging around there in docking mode. Like, we are the army. I don't know if we're doing anything right now, but there we are, dramatically in the background. Particularly when, Cinderfall, who's apparently, as far as we know, the mastermind behind the evil plot that we don't know what it is exactly, but involves getting lots of dust. She was just in the shadows the longest time, and then she shows up in person first after the credits thing, season 1, and then she shows attending Beacon Academy. Not attending, but she's like other schools apparently are showing up for the tournament.
There's going to be a tournament in like a future season, which, okay, that's how you do it. You say, okay, there's going to be a tournament soon. And you show people like Sun coming over, and you show people like Neptune, and you have Cinder in here. That means that there's other people who are slowly trickling in preparation for the tournament. This is a good thing. It shows that stuff is slowly progressing, that we're building up to this big thing.
Which, though, by the way, I was getting around to, though, was Cinder, when she shows up in person on a regular basis, it made her less cool for me. She was just the person in the shadows. You never got to see her face, the mastermind. Now she's
of course,
right there in front of you, and you're like, oh, I mean, she still has secretive plans, but it's not quite as interesting.
Oh, yeah, there's also a thing in season 1. I don't know if it's that their computers weren't advanced enough. Anyone who wasn't a character that we would interact with on a regular basis was a black outline.
Oh, right. Yeah, that was a thing. But
yeah.
I got used to that,
Yeah, which made it really funny whenever they said, we fight against the forces of darkness. Oh, you mean everyone else? Apparently we're being infested.
The shadows are walking among us. Yeah.
Apparently we're infected with the heartless around here.
Anyway. Yeah, I forgot about that, but that's true.
Yeah, it was really weird. Then in season 2, they fixed that so that everyone has a unique-ish character model.
That's cool. Must have taken a lot of work, but good for you guys doing all that work. But she shows up and she's like scoping people out to eventually defeat them, apparently, and also does something with their computers and their big computer computer thing.
Computers!
And I wasn't sure what it was, and this is weird. After the battle, and Ruby tries to stop her, and she gets away, and okay, all this stuff. It happens during the dance, by the way, which involves John wearing a dress, which I appreciated.
It makes sense in context.
It is funny.
He said to Pyrrha, "Oh, Pyrrha, you're so attractive and nice and popular. You know, if you don't get a date for the dance, I'll wear a dress." Guess what she didn't guess?
Guess what he wore, yeah.
Yeah.
And then they had a dance sequence, and it was fun.
Surprisingly well choreographed between the members of Team Juniper.
Yeah, they were a little bit psychic, the way they were all doing the same thing at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Definite flashes of the end of Haloid.
Yeah,
for those who've seen it.
Watch
it.
But, so they get away, and then there's this discussion the day after. Okay, so someone broke in here and did things. There's no mention of, like, so we did a scan on the computers, and we found that she did X, or... she erased all traces of that thing she did, so we don't know what... like, no one seems to be aware she did anything to the computers, like, though that's the only thing in the building. Okay.
I mean, there might be other shit, but we don't know.
But Ruby drops the clue that she had found out from an earlier investigation that they weren't technically supposed to do, but hey, they're the main characters, that there's a secret base in the southeast of the kingdom, or the city. It's like a city-state, practically, isn't it?
Yeah, and then there's, like various
city-state.
areas elsewhere that are kind of satellite... city-states.
See, I need a map or something. I don't know.
Yeah, they do have maps, which is one advantage they have
internet,
over other
there you
stuff.
Go. I haven't gotten. I just watched the show.
Yeah, they have it in the show.
Oh well, I didn't pay attention. That's my fault. All right.
Yeah, it is.
But so he drops the clue that there's a secret base in the southeast, and again, once Ruby leaves, there's this debate, and Osmond or Ironwood's like, "Oh, we must send in the army," and Osmond's like, "No, we must not send in the army," and you're like, "Why? Is there?"
This is literally the thing the army
This is what army does. I mean, there's this vague sense of, like, we don't want to tip our hand and let them know that we know. Is
it that the writers don't think the army should be used against terrorists? Because we've kind of been doing that for the last 12 years. No, wait, no, sorry. Oh my god, 14 years.
My god. Anyway.
Yeah, it's pretty much what our army's been doing. Everywhere.
Well... it's complicated.
Okay, the level of success is questionable, but still.
Anyway.
They're enemies of the human race. Okay, they're enemies of self-aware life.
Wait,
sorry.
No, you're talking about the White Fang. They're the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, remember?
Right. Sorry. Okay, later they get the White Fang's plan is pretty stupid, though. We'll get into that.
Yeah, that, I hadn't quite thought of that angle yet, but okay,
So they go to this... Team RWBY is taken to this place. They think they're going to get some badass warrior escorting them. No, it's Professor Oobleck.
Who ends up being awesome.
Yeah, his special weapon is a thermos full of coffee that turns into a staff that is also a flamethrower. Okay, this might actually tie with Sun's weapon as the stupidest weapon ever conceived.
But, what was I going to say? Okay, so... she drops a hint that there's a secret base in the southeast, and it's like, oh, don't send the army because reasons? I guess it's he doesn't want the bad guys to know that he knows. He wants to make it look like, oh, these kids are doing it on their own. But it's pretty vague. But before we get to that, actually, there's another arc that, just to make things slightly more in order, I might as well get to. Blake has been pushing herself too hard, trying to track down the White Fang.
Because she feels responsible, because she used to be White Fang, and she's also a faunus, so she feels that they're giving her people a bad name.
Yeah.
She also went on about how, White Fang, they're achieving equality for faunus, but the problem is that's because everyone is now scared of the faunus. So it's giving her people a bad name.
Right, and we will not lead to equality in the long run, will it? The people who are scared of the faunus will eventually beat up the faunus.
In order to get equality, you need a guy with a mask who has bloodbending.
Right.
We've all seen this. And unclear source of powers. You also need that, too.
Yeah. Anyway.
What I'm saying is that we need to debend the Avatar.
The point is, though, they make a big deal out of her pushing herself too far, and I can understand why she would push herself too far, but they didn't show her pushing herself too far. Here's what they showed. There's sort of circles under her eyes. Okay. her grades have been slipping, but not like she's failing, just that they've been slipping. Okay, she's fighting terrorists in her spare time. I can forgive getting a B, okay? It's like, I want to see that written on the teacher's exam. B+, but you are fighting terrorists, so it's okay.
I would love to see that grade.
And she's so concerned with fighting the terrorists that she's gonna skip out on the dance. Okay, but they're terrorists, like...
Yeah, I mean...
This is where the show kind of shows its seams, the whole, fight evil but also be a normal kid sort of thing that a lot of shows do.
Yeah, it's the same problem. You have your priorities. Quite honestly, I would skip out on the dance, not just because I hate dances and loud music and crowded people and people in general, but, this seems like it would be more effective use of your time. Hey, guys, maybe we should stop Al-Qaeda.
Now, granted, the as far as I know, the White Fang has never killed it. No, they killed that one guy who was trying to leave the organization.
Yeah, but you can probably guess that they've killed a lot of people.
I guess, yeah, they're generally evil. But the point is, though, they have this deal where, like, Yang has to sit her down and be like, no, seriously, you need to stop. You need to slow down for your own health and
it
whatever.
gives you some of Yang and RWBY's backstory, too, which is it's a really nice story.
I'll get to that in a second, but what should have been, though, is, like, let's say Blake is going out on patrols all the time trying to find these people, and she's so exhausted that she, becomes less skilled because of fatigue, and nearly gets killed one time.
Just in a random training exercise.
In a random exercise. That would be the catalyst for, no, seriously, Blake, you need to slow it down. As opposed to, oh, her grades are slipping. That's a big deal, I guess. That was just kind of weak.
Bitch, my skill is murdering things. That's kind of my job.
Yeah, it was. So, and then they tell the backstory of Yang and RWBY, which, I don't know. It's a fine enough story. I felt it wasn't delivered with quite as much punch from the actress as it needed.
Yeah, which is ironic because Yang is usually the one who's really good at punching things. With shotgun gauntlets.
I mean, she tells the story of how when she was, 7 years old or something, she nearly died, and also her kid sister nearly died, and also if they had died, it would have been her fault. Her fault that she and her kid sister died.
Well, it kind of would have been.
Well, right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It would have been her fault.
Yeah, but it also revealed that Yang and RWBY have separate moms, and
right, which is interesting and it's fine. I'm saying though, you could have delivered that with a little more horror and like, oh God, I nearly got my sister killed.
I have actually seen someone write up a summary for a potential story where things didn't go exactly according to plan, and RWBY actually becomes much colder and different because she was hurt by the Beowulfs.
Well, that would be a thing, but that didn't happen in the show. The point is,
yeah,
it didn't quite fit.
I'm just pointing out that
the options.
You and I are not the only ones who think of these things.
Yeah,
I'm listing other options that I've seen other people consider.
Which comes up later, but I'll try to do this in order. But okay, so we talked Blake into going into the dance, I guess, fine. We have our funny bit with the John wearing a dress and all this, and then we have the break-in with the computers, and then they will send these kids on a mission to the southeast with Professor Ooblik, who I love because he has this way of talking that's amazing, and it's totally different from the way that everyone else talks, but totally fits his personality.
He talks at 1,000,000 miles per hour, and it sounds like an old-timey radio announcer.
Yeah,
and he's voiced by Caboose. So, logically, better.
I love that, though, because I started to notice a similarity in characters' voices, and I don't mean the audio quality, I mean the writing, the choice of words, where, it's Yang, for instance, making that speech to Blake, became a little speechy, of, like, she had planned this out in advance of what I'm going to say, which I guess maybe she had. But you're Yang. You've got that sort of bounce to her. It should be a little more impromptu.
One could also argue that the fact that she's taking this so seriously and is doing it so differently has more of an impact on Blake than, say, if she was making puns all the time.
That's true. But even so, like, Pyrrha made another separate speech. I thought, like, oh, that's sort of the same vocabulary we used in the Yang speech. And not horrible, just a little bit of noticing. You got to make sure your characters not only have different sounds, but choose their words differently. And Professor Ooblik is always choosing his words in the most incredible, just long words and precise descriptions and the excitement that goes with it that actually fits the language.
One of my favorite things is they're in the ruins of this town that was destroyed by Grimm years ago. And he's speaking, oh, look, there's a Beowulf. We have to follow it. Why? Well, it will lead us back to its herd. And if it goes back to its herd, it'll lead us to the enemy base because they're attracted to humans. Of course, this could take a very, very long time. See, they can be separated from their herds for months, weeks, days, weeks, months, even years. And it will take forever to... Oh, and they're here. And then the rest of the Beowulfs walk into the scene. He's like, okay then.
Or just before that, he's like, now, there have been many sightings of Grimm in this area, and many theories as to why this is the case. One of them is Grimm. What? Grim creature, right over there. Oh, you changed topics. But he's not just hyperactive though for his own sake, and the energetic researcher thing. He's got this wise mentor vibe that you weren't expecting.
Like I don't know, Obi-Wan, except super fast.
Yeah. Well, he starts asking the team members why are they huntresses? What is their true motivation for this? And they end up realizing.
Oh my God! I just realized something.
What?
It's a character voiced by a red versus blue actor asking, "Why are you here?"
You ever wondered why we're? Have you ever wondered why we're here? Why are we here in the middle of a box canyon, in the middle of nowhere?
That's one of the great questions, isn't it? Okay, but yeah, and he does deconstruct them when they give like the simple answers, like, "I want to help people. Why do you want to help people?" And then
what's your real motivation? Yeah, and
the only one he doesn't ask is RWBY. And here's why. He says, look, there's Grimm over there. They're ancient Grimm. They could do incredible destruction. RWBY just pulls out her sniper rifle, cocks it, and says, let's kill them. Which I think that says volumes about RWBY's character. She's probably the nicest character in the show aside from Penny. But, Penny's just adorable in her own way. Yeah. But she's probably the nicest character in the show. And she's a murder machine.
Fun how that works. But
he's like, yeah, I don't need to ask. She's already proved it.
But not like bloodlust murder, though. It's like sport, It's fun. Mm-hmm. It's not just like, I love to kill because I want to see things suffer.
She wants to genuinely be a hero. She's inspired by tales of heroics of her mother and stuff.
Yeah.
It's kind of the opposite of Eren Yeager, where his motivation is anger and revenge. But he still wants to kill all the monsters.
Yeah.
RWBY, it's more, I want to kill all the monsters. Yeah, because both they've done horrible things, but also because I'm inspired by all these great examples in the past.
And it's fun.
Okay,
it's like
mostly,
the perfect combination thing. But I love how...
Although I am utterly terrified because RWBY says that she built her sniper rifle, shotgun, cannon, scythe.
Just call it a scythe.
Her scythe, all by herself. And no one raised an eyebrow at this. I'm terrified of any world where 15-year-old girls are given access to high-caliber weapons of murder.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think even the NRA would be like, guys, look, I think maybe we should take a look at this.
The fourth wall protects us from the crazy.
Look, no. NRA are the crazy ones, but even they would be like, dude.
The craziness of a scythe. Anyway.
Plus, it's a Monty Oum creation. Do you really think the fourth wall would protect us if it really wanted to hurt us?
Oh dear. All right. But I love how Oobleck is a researcher, which it fits with that mentor vibe. He doesn't switch all of a sudden to like different personality. He's asking questions.
He's like Morden Solus if he was a human.
Who's Morden Solus?
Mass Effect 2, Solarian.
So I haven't played that one.
Oh, god damn it! It's a good game.
But anyway, he's asking questions of people, which is a researcher vibe, but also the wise mentor vibe. And when he talks about those elephants in the distance I mentioned earlier, the Grimm elephants, and he mentions that they've lived for so long, they've become smart, they've developed strategy. And so they know, for instance, not to kill just one human wandering around, because that'll attract more humans to avenge them. And he says that with a sort of respect, how these Grimms are so powerful and so smart and so many centuries they've lived. And as a researcher, he knows these things, or he pays attention to details others miss. I like that.
And then RWBY says, let's murder the shit out of them.
He does. And then there's this campfire scene, though. And this I wanted to call back to this from earlier. Where the three of them, not RWBY, because she's away.
She's on watch.
She's on watch
with her dog that she got
with her dog,
a few
who is invincible,
early.
by the way. I think they should make that canon. Just literally, it's an invincible dog. It's the only way we can explain.
Okay, Final Fantasy VIII, how Rinoa had the dog cannon. That's this dog.
That's this dog. Cute dog, anyway. But they're on the campfire.
Also, we find out that RWBY and Yang's dad is weird. Like he sends her a tube, and says, "Oh, this is from Dad." A letter falls out, and so does the dog. There's no air holes in this thing, and they shake it more. Like, this pile of cans pop out. And then we see RWBY's not all there yet, because she's told, oh, leave the dog back at home. we can't. Yang goes, we can't leave him. I mean, who'll take care of him? And then a can opener falls out of the tube after all these cans. And Yang goes, oh, okay, see, he'll be fine.
I love that the dog is secretly invincible. That's how he can fit in a tube without air.
Also, another funny scene in the background, if you notice, the dog is always paying attention to Blake, who's
I saw
suiting
that,
up.
yeah. That wasn't even in the background to me. That was like, she's the cat, he's the dog, yeah.
And then RWBY brings the dog along anyway, and you think Oobleck's going to freak out when he realizes this. You brought a dog with us. Brilliant! Dogs are man's oldest friends. They have highly advanced senses. They'll be able to detect Grim coming from a long way off. Excellent work, Miss Rose. Let's move on. It's like,
yep.
Oh, that just happened.
Yep. And likewise, too, in the Winter thing, he doesn't fight for quite a while. He wants to see them fight, which, in a fighting show, you'd be tempted to just make him fight everything. Because another fighting character. But no, he's going to play his character and watch and take notes on everyone else's style. Because they're the students.
Also, he has a flamethrower, so I could also see that he wanted to avoid getting into a fight because it's a much shorter ranged weapon.
Yeah, I suppose so.
But then I'm just one of those guys who thinks about these things.
But around the campfire, though, like, Yang admits, she had said to Oobleck, I'm a thrill seeker. That's why I do this. And I thought, wait, aren't you doing this to protect your kid sister who nearly died in that previous thing that was an important part of your character when you're talking to Blake? And then around the campfire, they talk about their true motivations. I'm like, oh, this is when she'll mention that one of my main motivations is to protect my kid sister from the forces of evil. And she doesn't bring it up. And I thought that was so weird. It was so obvious.
Well, okay, I would say that that's not that strange of a thing to happen. And here's my justification.
Right, go ahead.
If someone walked up to you and said, what is your key motivation for being who you are? Would you just tell some random stranger on the street that it's because you wanted to make... Let's say that...
I know, but as of the campfire scene, it's not random strangers on the street. It's our friends that we've had ever since season 1.
And I would also argue that even if it wasn't random strangers, doing that... Confessing your sins, confessing your deepest, most personal motivations is still really hard. I struggle to do it with you, and we're like the best of friends.
Yeah, I suppose. If that's the angle they're going for, though, I hope they play it up later. I hope it's not just we forgot about this whole thing where she nearly got her kid sister killed and feels guilty about it. I presume feels guilty about it.
Yeah,
you
so
know
I
what
can
I'm saying?
totally... Okay, so
like
the campfire...
if RWBY nearly dies in a later season and Yang freaks out, like goes Hulk mode, right? And like, oh, that calls back to the previous... Like, it needs to be a part of her character, not just that one scene, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it was a good scene, and I can see why she would lie to Professor Oobleck, because quite frankly, I wouldn't trust a lot of my teachers. I mean, not that they weren't good teachers and all. I had some pretty good teachers. It's just it's essentially a stranger. Yeah. But yeah, that's now that I think about it, that is a little irritating.
So I hope they just like make that coherent or something later on. So then we get to the final battle-y stuff.
And this plan makes no sense. Okay, so basically the White Fang has a train in a subway that goes from this city...
The ruined city outside the main city.
The ruined city to the main city, and it's loaded with explosives and robots that they desperately need. So they're going to drive the train into the city, and it's carrying the robots and all the supplies they desperately need. Except the plan is to smash the train into the city, which breaks open the wall and allows Grim to come in. But won't that also destroy all that vitally needed supplies?
Yeah, I hadn't even thought of that part yet.
Furthermore... isn't the White Fang supposed to be fighting for the Faunus? Isn't the city kind of filled with Faunus as well as normal people? I mean, we've seen in previous episodes that the Grimm don't ignore Blake and go after, like...
Yeah, just the humans.
Just the humans. They go after both of them. So... Your plan is basically to become the most hated organization in the history of the world.
Well, I don't think they care about their approval rating, but you think they would care about their fellow Faunuses.
You're going to approve about the approval rating, because if you do this, you lose all sympathy. Anyone who sympathizes with you is going to be like, oh, no, I'm not with them. Because you just initiated a mass genocide on the populace of a totally innocent and defenseless city. You wiped out hundreds of thousands of lives.
So
every military in the world is going to come down and they're going to stomp a new mud hole in your organization.
Which is exactly why Al-Qaeda didn't attack us on 9/11.
Hey, every moment.
Right, and I'm saying the terrorists are known for pissing everybody off and making the army come stomp on them.
Yeah, but we got massive international support when we went after them initially.
We did. Okay, but bad guys can be foolish in that degree. That part doesn't bug me. But bugs me is that it doesn't fit their own philosophy. If real life Al Qaeda specifically blew up, a lot of their own supporters or people who practice a similar version of radical Islam. I don't want to say Muslims, because Muslims in general hate Al Qaeda. But if they blew up their own people, right, then their own people would turn against them. They don't necessarily care about the world.
Suicide bombers.
But they care about, the suicide bombers are willing to blow up themselves.
Okay, yeah.
The suicide bomber does not walk into the Al Qaeda meeting and blow up his fellow Al Qaeda guys who were having coffee that day.
Unless he screwed up with the detonator.
Unless he screwed up.
Hey guys, what's going? Oh well, now I feel like an ass.
So this is all very dark. But so the point is that you would think this plan would not only kill off a bunch of humans, it would also kill off Faunus, including members of the White Fang.
And we see earlier in this season, they're having a rally for various Faunus, trying to get the average Faunus into the White Fang because they need to bolster their numbers.
Right.
Wouldn't this activity make your recruitment rating drop severely because...
Right. So this did sort of fall apart that way. They could have done something about, like, they've organized to get all the Faunus, or as many as they could anywhere, or at least the ones in the team, into some shelters somewhere, right? Or they've shipped them all off onto like a freaking boat, for all I care, away from the carnage. And the idea being our people will be safe and everyone we hate will die. And that would be plausible. I could get that. But they didn't say that. There was no reference to it. It was just, as far as I know, even the guys on the train are going to get eaten by the Grimm.
And,
like,
it's
even,
kind of dark.
Torchwick is going to get eaten by the Grimm, isn't he?
And the fridge logic of this scene is really terrifying because you see all those people getting knocked harmlessly off the train. They're still falling off a train going at like 60 miles an hour, hitting metal tracks, and even if they survive that, there's still the army of Grimm that's following the train.
Which, by the way, in case we didn't make that clear, the way that works is the Grimm are on the surface and the train is underground, and they detach cabooses, to use that word again, which blow themselves up, which make holes so the Grimm fall in because they're naturally attracted to people, and then they chase after the train. That's where those Grimm are coming from.
Yeah, but again, they have these cabooses in between shipments of vitally needed military supplies and dust that they need. I do not get this. No. What was the point of having those supplies there?
No, the supplies should have been on a totally separate shipment of some sort, or stashed away in a warehouse.
I mean, at best, let's say all the supplies survive. It's still going to be in an area, and the rest of your plan works perfectly. It's still going to be in an area completely filled with Grimm that the hunters weren't able to clear out. So yeah, a terrorist organization is going to take out what the fucking army and the hunters couldn't take care of.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make sense. It should be, we'll torch the place and run. They should have a plan in place where everybody gets on aircraft of some sort and leaves, or they stay in a separate underground bunker. And otherwise, just, they can survive, somehow. Maybe
reclaim the city later.
Yeah, maybe they've got a way to take the Grimm away from the city with some sort of lure afterwards. I don't know. There needs to be a plan here. And what also bugged me was the moment-to-moment action of it. The train starts going, after this whole bit where Ruby is briefly captured, and then we rescue her and get her scythe back, and she becomes awesome. And the train starts going, and they hop on the train, and it's obvious that this train is heading for the city with evil things aboard. Like, even before they find the bombs, it has White Fang aboard, if nothing else, right?
And a shit ton of military-grade robots.
And all these robots. So, the obvious thing to do is to sprint to the front of the train and demolish the tracks right in front of it, yeah?
Yeah.
Derail the whole thing. We'll all survive because we have auras and shit, whatever.
Yeah, but then we have to fight off the surviving White Fang and the army of Grimm.
We were going to fight them anyway.
Okay, good point. But plus, it would thin out the members of the White Fang.
Thin out the members of the White Fang. So, but I kept feeling this snag where they're like, oh, we're on the train. Okay, here we need to go. But we'll spend a few seconds talking. And then we'll look inside. Oh, what's this device? Oh, it seems to be a thing. Maybe it's a bomb. Oh, we'll go to the next car. And then the bomb, detaches itself and blows up. Oh, what's in this car? Oh, it's a bomb. Why don't you guys just sprint to the front of the train? I don't care what's in the cars. if it's a bomb or not, you still want to derail this thing. I don't think the train is filled with, like, cute little kittens and, like, oh, shit, good thing we found that out before we derailed it. Like, no one, it doesn't matter.
You know what? You don't
Sprint
even
to the front.
Heck, you could just drop, like, a grenade or something into the engine and just watch as that explodes.
Right.
You don't even need to do the full derail the train. You just need to stop the engine.
Yeah.
And, heck, you could just leave after that because they're going to be up to their necks in Grim in a few moments.
Yeah, you could do that. So...
And what are they going to do?
Yeah.
Blow themselves? Okay, don't ask if the terrorists want to blow themselves up.
Well,
that's just bad.
They actually don't in this case. The whole point, is to hurt other people, and they'd only be hurting themselves.
So, yeah, this plan just has so many flaws.
Yeah, now...
What is the end game? What was the plan here?
Yeah.
What was your... Okay, every plan needs an end goal where you start off, where you end up in a place that's better than where you started. That is the definition of a plan. What was your goal here?
You know what? If you look at it from the outside, the goal here was to create an awesome action scene for the end of the season. You know what I mean?
I'm reminded of this show Archer, where Archer tries to fight on the roof of a train, and he immediately deconstructs the whole concept of fighting on the roof of a train, how utterly fucking stupid it is in every way. Like, he tries to look up, and it's like being sandblasted in the eyes by the wind.
Yeah.
So he puts on goggles. Okay, granted, it's night vision goggles, so when another train comes the other direction, it basically sears his eyes.
Now, to be fair, it was a cool setting to be fighting on. Changes the nature of combat when you're on a moving train. And I'm willing to ignore the physics application of that because we're doing that anyway. I'm sure the aura protects their eyes somehow, whatever.
Yeah.
But you need that foundation of the plan. And I'm worried that the show is starting to show cracks that way, that we've kind of done the first batch of ideas they had on character development, which was done well. And then they're not sure what the bad guys are up to, which you do need to have an idea if the bad guys are going to, be bad and be a focal point of the show. And then, for some reason, we split up and we had, like...
This admittedly pretty awesome scene where, like, a bunch of hunter teams come in and fight the Grim.
Well, no, actually, for a bit there, wasn't there... I'm not even entirely sure of this, but I think some of them dropped into the train and were fighting car by car.
Yeah, okay, that was even dumber.
And they immediately split off into these one-on-one matches, with, like, 3 times in a row. Okay, you go ahead. I'll fight what's-his-name in front of us.
Okay, and it's like some... Okay, one of them was just a guy with a chainsaw. And that's pretty cool in and of itself, because I like chainsaws. Another was this girl named Neo by the fans.
The mirror girl who does that.
She can, like...
With the umbrella. And
yeah. Yang was fighting her, and she lost, but then this weird person comes out of nowhere.
Guess what? It's secretly her mother, says me. I don't actually know, but I'm guessing it's... Who else is it gonna be?
Yeah,
Long-lost secret mother we angsted about, and then somebody shows up to save us. You remember when we
saw... And then she walks out of a fucking portal.
Yeah.
When can you do that? Who has those? Why aren't we using those instead of the air transports that make John throw up?
Yeah.
Can we get those?
I mean,
are they commercially available? Is this a semblance thing?
I'm guessing it's a semblance, and I'm willing to deal with somebody who has portals.
Now you're thinking with portals.
But like...
Hey, they have the aerial faith plates. Why not?
Yeah. I just wonder if it got a little too disjointed. Like the big fight against the Nevermore, we were all on a same team, and it was neat to see people cooperating.
Yeah.
And then we had to split up for this, but they were still cool fights. But you just... When the whole, again, the evil plan thing was kind of weird to begin with, everything else takes on a weird tone. Just a little.
When the foundation is shaky, we're more critical of it.
Yeah, of the building.
Yeah.
Whatever, to complete that metaphor.
I mean, yeah, we've seen this in other shows. Legend of Korra had some cool ideas, but, the first 2 seasons, this foundation was so shaky that,
You can do much with it.
Yeah.
So they fight, and then they finally crash through the wall or whatever.
Gee, if only, someone had cut the tracks or something. Or broken the engine.
And I know they had to fight robots and stuff on the way, but it felt like somebody could have sprinted to the front. I'm sorry.
RWBY's semblance is super speed.
Yeah.
Have her run up to the engine, fire some bullets into the fire some bullets into the tank.
Yeah.
The engine tank, not like an actual tank.
Yeah, they have a tank up there.
Hello, I am the M808B main battle tank.
Oh,
you may
man.
call me Sheila.
Boy. Hello, Sheila, tank lady. Anyway.
Hello, nice tank lady.
But they burst through, and oh no, the plan is coming to fruition. The Grimm are invading, and we'll ignore that. That doesn't make much sense. But okay, there's danger. Grimm are invading, and we're fighting them. And was it just me, or did everyone seem really on top of it for a season-ending fight? Like, no one ever seemed to have that much trouble. And I was like, oh, we're going to win.
Yeah, that was...
Okay.
If this is how much... I don't get why the Grimm are a threat. If the problem with having the Grimm as this extinction-level threat to humanity is that you need to either have them shown as having ultra-superior numbers. We're talking like Zerg or Tyranid swarm numbers here. Or they need to be a lot tougher. And if if a bunch of teenagers can kill hundreds of these things without breaking a sweat, then I'm questioning the effectiveness of your baddies. And considering I'm questioning the effectiveness of your other baddies...
Yeah. See, it starts to show the cracks. Now, you could, of course, and they did allude to this a little with the elephants, you could have ranks of Grimm. And these are like, the minor league Grimm or something. And later on, we'll have the harder guys. But it would have been nice for one of those hard guys to show up and be hard, be difficult,
Mm-hmm.
Or if it's going to be so triumphant, and so, like, we don't stand a chance of losing,
then have a scene where they might lose first and then show them triumphantly winning.
Right. And not just that, but also have it be a character thing, where, for instance, there's been some personal problem in the team, people aren't cooperating, and then they have some kind of epiphany. Now we can work together. We've worked through our personal issues, and almost as a reward for that, as a cosmic reward, now we are all more awesome. And it would feel, cathartic or something for us, the audience, to be like, hey, yeah, now the personal issue connects with the battle issue. Mm-hmm. And that happens so much with the Nevermore thing when Weiss and RWBY cooperate, first off in a way you didn't expect with the super cool tactics, but secondly, those two people cooperating when there's been so much tension between them, right?
Exactly.
That feels right. It tells a story and not just a battle. And then in the midst of this, John's team shows up, which is nice, but again, it helped to make
Team Coffee also shows up, which have never been seen before ever.
Yeah, this whole new team shows up, and they're super awesome and everything, but not in a way that I really liked, because I felt they didn't deserve to be here. I felt like, I'm sorry, my main characters are having their season finale. You can show up later.
Yeah, show up next season. When you can be an experienced team who's like showing them the ropes or something for like camping outside the walls or something. I mean, I very much like the leader of Team Coffee's weapon, which is a handbag that turns into the heavy weapon guy machine gun from Team Fortress 2.
Yeah.
But again, it's
it felt
the only reason that they really invented that team was because Velvet was shown in like a one scene in the previous season being bullied by Cardin to show how much of a dick he was. Mm-hmm. But she got so popular because of that one scene that they eventually created a whole team for her.
Which is fine, but don't have them pop up all of a sudden. And
I know.
The thing is, we don't know their personalities at all, right? Even in the very first scene of the show, when RWBY is in a shop, and the thieves walk in and point a gun at the owner, and then they tap RWBY on the shoulder, and she's like, "What?" And he's gesturing at her, and she like takes her headphones off, and he's like, "All right, get in the back," or something like that, and she's like, "Are you robbing me?" And suddenly kicks all the ass, and there's a neat establishing character moment. With this, I mean, there were a few lines about how the leader of Team Coffee loves to shop or something, but to do that in the middle of your climax,
it's not really.
It feels like we're not in character building mode here. We're just like, look, it's another person because we felt like it. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, okay, and then later we have Roman or Torchwick or whatever the fuck his name is. I want to say Roman Calzado, but who is Roman Calzado? Because I've been having that name stuck in my head. God damn it.
Keep talking, I'll look it up.
Okay, he's meeting with what's her face? Cinder, and her flunkies, because she has those, we didn't mention them because they weren't really important to our ongoing narrative. And he's saying, after all the losses we sustained with the White Fang, and virtually no losses to Vale, the city, I don't think the White Fang is going to keep providing us support. I'm like, no! Really?
What was it?
Okay, who's Roman Kels? Oh my god, he's a bad guy from Archer. He's a bad guy from Archer. Wow, I feel stupid now.
That's fine.
Yeah, Roman Torchwick, he's the redheaded guy. He's like, they're not going to be happy about this. They'll probably cut support to our organization. Not organization, to our goals or whatever.
Which, first off, I guess...
That implies that they have a separate set of goals from White Fang. And then Adam shows up, who has never shown up in this fucking story before this point. And you only know who he is if you've watched like some of the supplementary materials or you've read the Word of God shit. And he's like, no, we will continue to support your extremely stupid plans. And then Yang shows up in like this fountain, and she's meeting the woman who saved her, and the woman who saved her looks like Yang except with black hair.
It's her mother.
Or a sister, I don't know.
Yeah, that could be, but it's very likely the mother.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, thanks for showing us this, guys. What does this have to do with fucking anything?
Yeah, I'll forgive that one. That fits in the mold for me of, the tease to the next plot line.
Then stop teasing us! You've teased like 8 different plot lines, and you haven't delivered any sort of resolution on any of them!
Okay, so that's true. You need to pace your teases. You need to... Some things resolve while other things can tease. But that is the sort of thing that would make sense to tease because it only had a small impact on the story thus far. As opposed to White Fang stuff, you would like to know kind of what they're doing at all. And there was a thing, too, where... And I'm jumping back, I know, but so this Ozpin versus Ironwood thing, and, like, Ozpin gets reprimanded by the Council of Schools or something.
Which they have now, because...
They have now, apparently.
What? When were these guys ever mentioned before in the entire story? You might as well have the council from XCOM showing up and saying, you have not captured enough UFOs this month, Ozpin. We are disappointed in you, and Nigeria is withdrawing from the XCOM project. I just started playing XCOM, and it's amazing. I love it.
XCOM Enemy Within, to be precise, yeah.
No. XCOM Enemy Unknown.
Oh, I'm sorry. Enemy Within is the expansion pack, yeah.
I haven't started playing that because I wanted to beat vanilla version
Yeah,
first.
that's fine. But I'm okay that there's... some sort of council. They should have mentioned it, but, like, it's not that crazy that he has to report to somebody. What was weird, though, was Ironwood saying to himself later, a little dramatically, you brought this on yourself, Ozpin. And I was like, you brought...
What on yourself? What have you done?
Like, Ozpin didn't get fired. They just said, tisk, tisk, and we'll talk to you later. Like... Oh no!
Maybe this is why he doesn't want the military involved, because apparently that's a severe punishment for them. So apparently they go up to the Grim and fight them with harsh language. Maybe this is why the Hunters are apparently the only guys who can do fucking anything.
Well, no, I don't think it was a military council anyway. It was like the school council or something.
Yeah, I know. No, I mean the military would consider tisk tisk to be, a big punishment.
But they wouldn't, though, because...
He said...
I see. Because his interpretation of the... I didn't get that. Okay.
Grim, stop that right now. Oh, God, he's eating my throat. I could not have predicted this.
Curse, you're sudden but inevitable betrayal.
So
yeah.
What is anyone's plan? Apparently they have Roman at the end because I fucked up the series of events there. And it turns out that it was just Cinder who was just talking about, hey, looks like the White Fang. And not Roman. Roman wasn't there. Roman was captured and is being held by the military.
Right, yeah.
And he said, you're going to be here for a long time. And then Roman starts laughing his ass off because, again, there's something that the audience doesn't fucking know.
Apparently they're going to break him out or something.
I wouldn't. He seems like a douchebag.
Well, they are terrorists. Don't they want douchebags on their side?
Okay, there's being evil and then there's being a douchebag.
Oh, I see.
You can be one and not the other.
I see.
But Darth Vader, not a douchebag.
Huh. I never thought of that.
He was evil and noble.
Evil and... Wow, yeah. Okay, we're not going to get into the whole cartography of evil right now. We've had a long enough video already.
Or, worse, the cartography of douchebag.
Yes.
Note to self.
Who knows?
Also, the music is really good for this. It's not something you really notice, but Like, I've actually downloaded one of the songs.
It was... I'm trying to remember. What was one of those early songs that they had, like, for the title sequence in Season 1?
Yeah.
It was cool.
Yeah, so that's a thing.
That's a thing. So what are we saying? To summarize, for those of you who apparently jumped forward, maybe I'll put that in the description. So, the key lessons here. 1, you can do awesome fight sequences with awesome choreography that makes it look intelligent and interesting and has lots of ideas. And even if it's silly, it's cool. 2, just because people are awesome at combat, please do not think you have to have the standard Terminator-style personality. As cool as the Terminator was, not everybody needs to do that. They could be funny and weird and have personal relationships with each other that bounce around all silly-like, and yet somehow still fits what their role as saviors of the world. 3, plan things out.
And don't just... More importantly... Okay, planning things out is very important. More importantly, if you're going to tease something, give us something for the teasing. Otherwise, we're going to figure out that you're teasing us, and we're going to abandon you.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, obviously they teased there's a thing in the Southeast, and there was, but
for the longer term plot,
there's more meat we could need here. You know,
we need more meat than we're getting.
Like, what is the White Fang's goal? Are they straight up genocidal, for instance, or there's something else they need to do? The dust, the shrug, does Cinder have any motivation besides being evil, or is she more complicated than that? I'd like to know.
What's the deal with the military? Where does this council come from?
What, you know what? Torchwick, for instance, and maybe I'm making stuff up here all of a sudden, but it just seems to fit me, my concept of him, that he would be a true mercenary about this. And he's helping the White Fang simply because they're paying him lots of cash. And that could been a part of his character.
Okay,
when am I going to get paid? And you're like, oh, it's a little more... He's interesting enough as it is, but that'd be a little extra detail to this thing, right? And then compare that with Cinder, who perhaps is more of the ideological villain, and we will kill the humans for some sort of reason.
Except
perhaps.
that Cinder isn't a faunus, as far as we know.
That's true. So she has her own plan. Somebody else could be the ideological one. You know?
Yeah, that's Adam.
That'd be
Adam's the
Adam.
ideological
That's right.
one, but like...
You know, and then play these things, not just to mention them, but to make plot lines out of them. Like, imagine eventually paying Torchwick to do something for us. Which you would hate doing, but you might resort to that, you know, if you needed to. Or trick him into thinking you're going to give him money for helping you, you know. I don't know. Of course, a lot of cool things we skipped over. The first fight scene was with the robot and the highway and everything. That was cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was awesome.
That was very, very cool.
Let's see.
I like to start things off with the yay.
Oh, God.
No, but that I love that, though, just because it leads up to that scene where they have the epic food fight scene.
Yes.
Which perfectly shows that sort of giddy attitude, but also the awesome choreography thing.
Yeah.
It's a great way to start off season 2. So.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
It kind of perfectly encapsulates the perfect spirit of RWBY. It's awesome, but don't take it too seriously.
Yeah, which...
Of course, being us, we are taking it perfectly seriously, which is why we get angry.
Well, it's the thing, though, is you can make something silly and still have a foundation. You know, if we're not going to do the really dark sort of the villains have a super evil plan, you could even have silly villains, but know what's going on with these silly villains and feel like, okay, this is the silly thread we're running with. See also Red versus Blue, where there was, I mean, for the first 5 seasons anyway, there was no overarching plot and a great evil. No, it was just people being dicks to each other, but you understood that concept and it was funny.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be epic in a certain way, but it has to be whatever it is. It has to have a foundation, one way or the other, and not vague, you know. I think that's pretty much it.
I did have a bit of a rant about this.
Oh.
You know, it's the same with Final Fantasy and all sorts of other techno-fantasy stories where they have guns. Why don't they use them? It's like the first thought of any warrior of the techno side future, not future, but like where development went a different way, so they also use magic. It's like as soon as you start to use magic, you have to go back to swords and axes. And you know, okay, I get that it looks much more impressive when Yang is just jumping around and punching shit and making it explode with shotgun fists, but...
Yeah. It's hard to do choreography with guns, that's the problem. Well, except in the movie Equilibrium, as I've heard, but...
But even then, the gun is probably the most impressive military advancement of the last 1,000 years. It has revolutionized the way we have performed combat. This is the future that we're talking about here. You know, where monsters, or their primary strength of any animal is that it cannot get close to you if you have a gun. So, by running directly up to the monster and hitting it with a sharp stick, you're kind of removing the biggest advantage that mankind has managed to gain over monsters and the environment, aside from pollution.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is just a constant thing. And the weirdest part about this is that you show, like, army guys firing full auto with their machine guns into a monster, it shrugs it off. You have a girl come up with a knife and stab it once, it dies. And just weapon equality, man. Just have weapons work. If the gun doesn't work, a knife sure as fuck ain't gonna work unless it's specifically stated that it's like sanctified against evil or something.
Yeah, well, that's kind of almost the implication. Well, not really. I
And
was gonna say auras.
And if guns don't work against the monster, why does everyone use them?
Only cool guns work against the monster, and remember, that's the whole thing rests on rule of cool.
Oh, yeah, I get that. It's just.
Well, I guess what would be neat is if we had some other series that honestly takes guns seriously, and you could enjoy your gunplay over there at least. You know what I mean?
There actually is one.
What is that?
It's called Gate. Thus, the JSDF fought there. A portal to a parallel universe opens up in the middle of Tokyo because, of course, it's Tokyo. Why the fuck not? Mm-hmm. And this fantasy army tries to invade Tokyo. The JSDF, using Cold War era weapons, drives them back and pretty much wipes out the whole army, and then spends the rest of the series exploring the place. Okay. And setting up, like, interesting plot threads and ideas, and showing that, hey, we have guns. Yeah. It turns out that swords do not work against us. Well, they do. It's just that you have to cross the distance to get to us, and we have, guns.
Yeah.
At one point, they actually bombed a place. It was great.
Yeah, well, there's Bullet Witch, too. I've never actually seen, but apparently that revolves around guns and magic, so I wanted to mention that.
My point is, if guns don't work, then don't use them. If guns do work, then use them and have them be effective against your enemies.
I think what they're going for is, like, as the standard type of guns, the assault rifles that get used and don't work very well. The idea being those guys don't have the skill to do super cool stuff all the time, but they're the red shirts, kind of. They can help out little, shrug.
Okay, well, that rant's over. I think that's everything with RWBY.
I think that's about everything. This is a sizable chunk of a season. Is how long we've been talking here, an hour and a half.
So, anyways, I guess if we're done
Pretty
here.
Cool stuff. All right.
Pretty cool. I'm Sith King.
And I'm Sonic Sun.
Signing off.